It's not about looking good, it's about being good. It's not what you say, it's what you do that matters most. It's about having the courage to step into your arena and do the work. Welcome to No Show Dogs, powered by ReliaQuest. Hey, welcome back to the No Show Dogs podcast, powered by ReliaQuest. My name is Derin McMains, and I'm alongside my co-host and my mental performance coach teammate here at ReliaQuest, Dr. Nicole Detling. Doc, how's it going?
It's going pretty well, man. We are entering bowl season, college football bowl season. How fun is that?
I knew you were going to say that.
I mean,
knew
come
it.
on.
I know. I think back to a previous episode, and I remember this was back in September, and you're like, things are great. You know why? Because it's college football season. So I knew coming into bowl season, you were going to be excited. Well, I can tell you what, we got a great one today. It was actually a lot of fun. Last week, we were at the ReliaQuest Bowl contract signing party in Tampa at Raymond James Stadium, which is where the ReliaQuest Bowl will be played January 1st at noon Eastern on ESPN2 versus LSU and the University of Wisconsin Badgers. And so what we were able to do, which is really cool, and we're going to play it for you all coming up shortly, is we were able to interview both head coaches, both Brian Kelly and Luke Fickell. And so today we're going to break down the Brian Kelly interview. We're going to play that, and then we're going to share just a couple takeaways from that. So, Doc, kick us off. Tell us a little bit about Coach Brian Kelly, the head coach of the LSU Tigers.
Absolutely. So Brian Kelly, a.k.a. BK, he began coaching in 1983 at Assumption University. He then went on to coach at Grand Valley State, Central Michigan, Cincinnati, and Notre Dame, incidentally becoming the winningest football coach in Notre Dame history. He took over the head coaching duties at LSU at the end of 2021, and he won the SEC West in his first season with LSU in 2022.
Yeah, so let's just cut away right to this clip, and then let's you and I come out of it and talk about just one takeaway that we each had. Hey, welcome back to the No Show Dogs podcast, powered by ReliaQuest. My name is Derin McMains, and I'm alongside LSU head football coach Brian Kelly. Coach Kelly, welcome to No Show Dogs.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, and good to see you again.
Great to see you, sir. Hey, let's just jump right into this, and I want to talk about your journey as a coach from Assumption University all the way to head football coach at LSU, and like everywhere in between, like when you think about climbing the corporate ladder, right? And I think about business professionals doing that. Like, and I was thinking about your journey. It would be hard pressed to find anybody that has come as far as you have. Really incredible. And so, how have you had to evolve along this kind of whole journey and your steps along the way?
Well, first, being a young head coach at 28 years old and leading a program, so learning how to do the job while you're on the job is evolution in itself. And I think probably the lessons that I learned early on at Grand Valley State have served me so well today. And that is, learn the jobs that surround the program on a day-to-day basis, and those that go to winning. And it's, what you find is people around you on a day-to-day basis that go to winning, the equipment manager, learning that job. Because at Grand Valley State, I didn't have one. I did the laundry. I mean, I had to learn how to do the laundry. We didn't have somebody that did logistics for us and was an operational person. Today, I've got two operation people.
Sure.
I was operation, so I had to get the bus schedule and learn, certainly how to put together team transportation. So my point being is, being at a Division II school and not having those things, I learned how to do the jobs that the people that have been around me do today. And I respect so much the work that they do that I think I'm able to use that today to create the kind of culture and environment for them to be the best versions of themselves.
I love that. Several times in your career, you've inherited a team and you've quickly turned them around. So I think about leaders out there that are quickly inheriting some team, right? And how do they turn their performance around? What are some things that you do when you go into a new program? Just enlighten us all. Kind of, what's your approach to that?
Yeah, I think it's first about the vision. I mean, you really have to have a vision for what you see for everybody in that program, and laying down that vision immediately, I think, is the most important thing. And then once that vision has been cast, I think you have to have, a process in terms of how we're going to get there. It can't just be, let's show up and work hard. Everybody's working hard.
Sure.
So I think the cornerstones to that for me, and making the quick transitions, if you will, is really doing a good job of communicating what the vision is in the program, and then establishing a process and how we're going to get there. And I think that has probably been the two pillars for me that I've stuck with my entire career.
That's great. Thank you. Every week during the regular season, Saturday's coming, right? How do you manage the pressure of the expectation to win every weekend?
Yeah, we don't focus on winning. We focus, on the process and the preparation. And so it's much more about, how we prepare, and then flipping the switch to performance, because you can't get stuck in preparation when it's on Saturday. It's about performance. And so we really don't talk about winning. We talk about our process and how our process will get us success, if we stick with it. And then the things that you have to do along the way, eliminate distractions, and certainly, do the things necessary to have great preparation along the way.
Yeah, that's so good. So good. When you think about all the successful programs that you've built along the way, what are some specific standards that you build your program on?
I think it's traits over talent. I'm looking at the traits that you might have. Now, look, we're in the SEC. Our offensive line's not 5'11", 180 like I was at Assumption University playing football. You've got to fit a profile. But
sure.
I'm looking for traits. I think that when you combine traits with talent, that's an unbreakable mix. And so we're building that every single day. Whether it's attention to detail, or a laser focus, or having grit, having a great attitude. And so we really spend a lot of time on building those traits of excellence.
I love that. In the players, when you think about leaders that you've been around, other coaches, I'm sure you've coached with, several people along your journey. What are some of those traits that you see in them that have allowed them to be successful along the way too?
Demanding but never demeaning.
I like that.
Always, having a standard that is about being elite, and knowing that elite's hard, and that you're demanding, but always trying to create a positive culture, a positive coaching environment. And so it's okay to be demanding. It's okay because elite's hard, but doing it the right way. I think those that I've been around that are the best in their profession, they've been that.
Yeah, that's good. What about you're on the recruiting trail? What do you see when you think that kid's got it? Like what's the thing you're looking for that, you've been around a long time, right? And so you have some things inside of you that you've seen that I'm sure a lot of others haven't. And so I'm sure there's things you see on film, or maybe it's in a conversation that you hear. But what are some things that when you hear it or see it, you think, this kid's got it?
I just think, somebody that is intrinsically, motivated and just driven. It doesn't have to be motivated with, NIL, or motivated with, slogans, or motivated to play for a certain reason. He wants to be, or she wants to be great, wants to be elite, and has that desire in everything that they do. So for me, it's, I'm going to go talk to their counselor. I'm going to go talk to one of their teachers, because you can't hide elite, and you can't hide that. It comes out in everything you do. Yeah. You don't just become elite on the football field, or the tennis court. You're doing it 24/7.
Yeah, that's so good. Well, I just want to wrap up with this final question, and this is the question that we ask all our guests here on the No Show Dogs podcast, and it's this one. Reflecting on your journey, what were some of the things that you've been willing to do that you think others haven't, that have allowed you to have the success you've had in your career?
Fail. Failure has been probably equally as important in my success, and learning from failure, and that it's not fatal, and that you could be stronger if you handle it the right way. And I think that that's probably a lesson that many people could probably use. That failure is not fatal, but it opens a door for you to grow and be better because of it.
That's great. Coach Kelly, so good seeing you again. Best of luck to you January 1st.
Pleasure, Derin. Good to see you.
Good to see you. No Show Dogs is brought to you by ReliaQuest. ReliaQuest is at the forefront of cybersecurity, working with large organizations around the world to manage cyber risk. Through our innovative technology and a high-performance company mindset, we continuously strive for excellence, pushing boundaries, and working to get a little bit better as we make security possible. Learn more at ReliaQuest.com. That was such a fun interview. And for me, the thing that stood out, obviously a ton of great wisdom in there for any entrepreneur, leader, anyone that's leading a group of others. But the one that really stood out to me was when he was talking about he was at Grand Valley State and he did the laundry, right? Because they didn't have an equipment
Yeah.
manager at the time. They didn't have someone that did logistics or operations. And so he's putting together the transportation schedule and setting up the bus schedule. And what he talked about was he talked about learning the jobs of the people around the program that
Mhm.
help you win, which leads to a higher level of respect for their role, which ultimately leads to creating a culture where the people in those roles can show up and be the best versions of themselves. And why I love that so much is because every person that touches the team helps the team win. Every team.
Right.
And unless you start at the bottom and you really understand and respect those roles and everything that goes into it, it's really hard to make those connections on how can the person that sets the bus schedule help us win. Well, you and I both know we've worked in sports long enough. It is maddening when there is a schedule and there's you got to get to the stadium, you got to get to the
Yes,
ballpark, you have to get to the arena, wherever you have to go, and that bus is not on time, right?
that's
Or they
right.
take a bad route. Or we go to equipment manager. I can tell you, you get back wet uniform. I remember times when the dryer would break down or the
Yes.
laundry would get done late. And then you show up the next day and you're putting on a wet uniform. And
Mhm.
right away it puts you in a tough spot, right? Now it's like, so when I hear him talk about starting at the bottom, I mean, Assumption University, Grand Valley State, and kind of doing all the roles, I think, wow, what a level of respect you get for each role to really appreciate the value that everyone in the organization has that literally helps the organization, the team, the company, whatever it is, win. And so for any leader out there, like when I think about that, I think some people maybe starting out of school or maybe they don't want to start at quote unquote the bottom. There's no better place to start. There's no
Exactly.
better place to start because you're going to learn things all across an organization. You're going to develop such a great appreciation, but just a great understanding of the value that everyone provides. And then that allows you to be a better leader when you do get in those roles because you do know the impact of each and every person that helps the company or helps the team win. So that was a big one for me that I think when you see someone that's been in the game, I think coaching roughly 40 years, right, starting in 1983,
Impressive.
it, yeah, I mean, and when I think about it, I just think, oh, he's always been a head coach. Well, of course not. I mean, obviously he started somewhere, but I think for someone that's especially been at the University of Notre Dame and been at LSU, I think people might forget where he started and how far he's actually come. So I really appreciated him sharing that.
Yeah, awesome. And that actually goes along with the one takeaway that I want to talk about for a minute is
Sure.
really I love the simplicity of this. I don't think this was anything groundbreaking, but the power of it is in the simplicity where when he was asked about turning programs around and creating cultures and standards, he talked about two key factors. The first one was communicating a vision. The second was establishing the process. And
Mm.
the simplicity of that is beautiful because what he talked about was it all starts with a vision. You have to know what that vision is, where you're heading, what direction you want to go. You have to have that very clear, and that clarity of vision is going to be impactful as you go forward in the organization and also will help you with any problems that come up, anything that happens, any struggles, adversities. If the vision is clear and people know what they're marching toward, it's easier to continue in that right direction. And then that second piece, establishing the process. And then he even went on further to talk really about consistency and repetition. So it's not just saying, here's where we want to go and here's how we're going to get there. And then you just go about your merry way, but it's talking about it all the time. This is what we're doing. This is how we're going to get there. Oh, we're dealing with some adversity. Let's go back to our vision. Let's go back to our process. And hammering that home over and over and over and over and over again makes decision making easy, makes dealing with adversity easier. You have that path, everyone's in that same direction. And something I think that we have to keep in mind for all of our listeners is we're talking 120 athletes on a team, right? 80 are going to travel, but I worked with college football for years, and there would be anywhere upward of 150, 200 people per trip, because that's a lot of bodies to move and a lot of people to keep in mind. And so you think about everybody involved in the program, like Brian Kelly was talking about earlier, and how he learned all of those roles and all of those roles matter. You take all of those people, you're traveling 150, 200 people. If there is no clear vision and no clear process on that, forget success. Like, it's just not going to happen. It's going to be chaotic. And that's been practiced all the entire season. It's right up until the point that you get to the bowl game. And if the vision is clear and the process has been established, it's been consistent, and you've been repeating it over and over and over, then everyone feels confident and comfortable when they're heading in that direction and on their way to the bowl game. Everybody's ready. Everybody knows their job. They know their role. They know what they're marching toward. And so I just loved the beauty of the simplicity of that. And that simplicity, I believe, is the most powerful part.
Yeah. Yeah. That was so good. Leaders are repeaters, right? It's like, keep
Yep.
repeating the vision, keep repeating the process. And I love what you said there at the end, Doc, about then allows everyone to be confident and comfortable going. And
Mhm.
we talk about creating an optimal performance environment. Like, how do you create a space where your athletes or your employees or wherever you're leading at can be both confident and comfortable? Because that's how you can bring the best version of yourself and consistently execute going forward, for sure.
Exactly. Exactly.
For
Such
sure.
great lessons. So glad we had the opportunity to have him on the No Show Dogs podcast.
Absolutely. And if you haven't subscribed to No Show Dogs yet, first, let's go. Second, let's go today. Today's a good day to do that.
Yes.
And I tell you what, it's going to be an awesome, awesome game on January 1st, noon Eastern on ESPN2, the ReliaQuest Bowl, LSU, who has the Heisman winner, Jaden Daniels, which we now know, versus the University of Wisconsin. So be sure to tune in, check it out. And as always, go out and make it a great day.